Of General Motors, who later became a maverick of the auto industry and eventually ended up on the wrong side of the law. John DeLorean was charged with drug trafficking, but he was able to clear his name during a long trial. Regardless of whether you love him or hate him, he's certainly one of Michigan's most famous people. And tonight, Linda Solomon begins her exclusive 6-part series, Personal Lives, by talking with 63-year-old John DeLorean in a rare personal interview. Linda?
Yes, Virg, and as you may recall, John DeLorean was also indicted here in Detroit on charges of defrauding investors in his now defunct company. He was also found innocent in that case. But those legal battles and a bitter divorce have changed the way John DeLorean looks at life.
To me, the real criteria of success is when you shave in the morning, if you can look in the mirror and say, well, I'm pretty satisfied with what you've made of what God gave you. Well, then that's success to me.
John DeLorean lives in a Fifth Avenue duplex in Manhattan, a home filled with wide-ranging books and art. His multi-million-dollar apartment overlooks Central Park, a view shared by his neighbors Lawrence Rockefeller and Detroit real estate magnate Al Taubman. John DeLorean has lived here for 12 years, some of the best and worst years of his life.
How have people changed towards you?
Oh, I think a lot of people that I thought were my friends disappeared when the troubles came along. Some of my friends in Detroit, one particular in publishing, was a man who I must have come over to my house for dinner 200 times, and I was just shocked in the unfairness of his treatment of me in the press. It always end a malicious story saying that I was not available for comment. Well, this guy had my home phone numbers all the time. It was really shocking.
Is there one thing that stands out that hurt the most?
Oh yeah, losing my family was the most difficult thing.
Christina Ferrari, John DeLorean's third wife, left him shortly after his acquittal of criminal charges in connection with the now-defunct DeLorean Motor Company. Their 10-year-old daughter, Catherine, lives with her mother in Los Angeles, and his son, Zachary, now 16, lives with him.
Do you think you'll ever marry?
I don't think so right now. I really have no interest in marrying again. I don't think I'm very good at it.
Why?
Well, because I've been married several times and it hasn't taken. And I blame myself in all instances for that, partly because I'm one of those people, when I work, I don't know anything else.
Now John DeLorean's view is different.
How have you changed?
Well, you learn a lot through a series of circumstances like this, and I think that I'm a lot better human being for it. I've certainly overcome all arrogance and false pride that I've had.
And he is looking forward to the future.
Now, tomorrow night, in part 2 of my interview, DeLorean talks about what he feels is the reason behind his company closing, a reason you've never heard before. He also discusses his current projects, and he shares his view of his former employer, General Motors. Now,
Linda began her series last night with a rare interview with former auto tycoon John DeLorean. Tonight, in part 2 of that interview, DeLorean talks about his life today and the reason he feels the DeLorean Motor Company collapsed.
At one time, you said that you had contemplated suicide.
Well, I think everybody goes through a stage when you're so depressed and so down. I can't say I contemplated it very seriously, but today I find it very hard to believe that I would even think that.
And today, John DeLorean is looking forward to the future. He believes his most important accomplishments are still ahead, and he's currently working on another high-performance sports car project. He's also developed patents for a new tire and engine, and as a born-again Christian, he's involved with the church on a master project for peace that he declines to reveal yet. I asked him what is the biggest misconception about him, and he says it has to do with the car and not the man.
I think probably the biggest misconception right now relates to our company and its supposed failure. Of course, we were put in initially into Northern Ireland by the Labour Party of the British government. When the parties changed, all of a sudden we found a very hostile attitude on the part of the Thatcher government towards our company. I have since been told, and I believe this is true, that what they found was that the Catholic employees within our plant were tithing to the IRA. So consequently, they elected to close us. When they closed us, our company was making over $4 million a month, and actually had 2.5 years of firm orders on the books. So I think the biggest misconception is that somehow our company failed. It didn't fail. We were closed by the British government.
Before he founded DeLorean Motor Company in 1975, he worked for General Motors for 18 years, and he has strong views about GM in 1988 and its chairman, Roger Smith.
I think that Roger Smith is one of the most intelligent men that I've ever met in my life. Sometimes when you get into a situation like the one that General Motors is in, and Roger didn't get General Motors into that. General Motors became an intensely integrated company over a long period of time through a number of pressures. One of them was the fact that the federal government wouldn't permit them to expand into other business areas when they had a surplus cash and earnings.
John DeLorean has received publicity recently because of the movie Tucker, the true story of Preston Tucker and his doomed Tucker car. There have been comparisons between the two men and their dream cars.
I haven't seen Tucker yet, although from what I've heard, I guess the analogy must be somewhat valid anyhow. And the interesting thing is all of a sudden now a number of people have been back at me wanting to do a movie of my life.
And his life has changed so much during the last 10 years.
Coming down where you belong then is a pretty good experience and helps you to decide what things are really important in your life. The real satisfactions are those things that are more spiritual than anything else.